Why game dev tutorials will poison your game development tutorials are lying. You will never become a game dev by usability today. How game programming tutorials make you bad at programming. Everyone seems to be making videos about why game dev tutorials are apparently the fabrication of the devil himself. To the point where I came across this one video that literally has the title, Why Game Dev Tutorials Will Ruin Your Life. I mean, really, what is Bracky's gonna steal all my money if I watch his videos?
Hello everyone. This is pretty crazy, so I'm just gonna come right out and say it.
I will steal all your money.
But no, seriously, game dev tutorials are not that bad, and if you feel like they have a negative impact on you, then you're probably not using them correctly. So the main concern when it comes to these tutorials is that they get you stuck in a loop. Now, this is a valid concern, but it's not necessarily the worst thing. I also started my game development journey by watching tutorials, and yes, I made my first game mostly by following them. But I remember when I started, I barely knew how to program anything. And honestly, through these tutorials, I became familiar with the programming environment, learning things like how to approach a problem and what steps to take in order to solve it. I also became familiar with the syntax of everything, which helped me learn how to fix many errors at that stage. All of this led me from not being able to code to still not being able to code, but that's besides the point. Another aspect where tutorials really help is motivation. By following tutorials, you can maintain a good speed of progress, and it really helps to motivate you, as game development can be quite difficult, especially in the beginning. Another concern that people have is that no tutorial tells you how to optimize your code. Now, optimization is one of the most important aspects of game development, but it's not something that you can learn from following tutorials anyway. It is something that you learn by understanding what each line of code means. For example, if you know the update method runs every frame, then you will not put a line of code that only needs to be executed once in the update method. This is a very simple example, but the idea is that the more you know about what your code is doing, the better you will be able to optimize it. And there are many guides on YouTube as well that tell you what steps you can take to optimize your game. So it's not really the fault of a tutorial video for not giving you the best way of solving a problem, because it only promised a way of solving the problem. And even then, most tutorial videos let you know if a piece of code is unoptimized and the way to optimize it if you want to include it in your project. I like to think of game development tutorial videos as a video form of the game engine's documentation. The documentation doesn't really tell you how to optimize your code, but it gives you the syntax and a general example of how the code could be used. Which brings me to my second point. Maybe you're not using the tutorials like they were meant to be used. So the mistake a lot of people make in the beginning of their game development journey is that they will watch a tutorial video, retain nothing from it, and copy the code without even trying to understand what the code does. Some will not even watch the tutorial and just copy the code if it is what gets their work done. But that is not what the creators intended when they made these tutorial videos. You see, a video creator doesn't know what your game requires, and he definitely did not tailor the tutorial according to your needs. A creator has to keep the tutorial as broad as possible so that many people can benefit from it, which is why sometimes it can be unoptimized for your exact use case. So it's definitely not a good idea to just copy and paste code from these tutorials into your project. Well, at least most of the times. So how do you go about learning through these videos like it was intended? Well, there's a few things you can do. Firstly, try your best to do as much as you can by yourself. If you get stuck and there is no other way, watch the tutorial the whole way through and try to understand what each line of code exactly does. If the video is not clear about it, go on the forums or check the documentation. But try not to include a line of code in your project unless you know what it is doing. Another thing you can do is to pause the video after each step and try to predict what the next step will be. This is something I used to do when watching these tutorials, and it helped a lot. You can find alternative solutions this way, solutions that may be better optimized for your implementation. And it also shows you your own progress, because if you start to predict correctly, it probably means that you are getting better at understanding the concepts. Lastly, you should modify your code to make it at least slightly different and fit your exact use case. Like I said before, most of the times the tutorials you find will be intended for a broad audience and may not exactly fit your use case. So make the code fit your game. Doing this will help you start writing bits of your own code, and eventually you will reach the point where you can write code by yourself. But in the end, everyone has their own way of learning, and these are just some observations I made that helped me learn. So try them out, and if they don't work for you, then try something else, I guess. I don't know, I'm just a dude saying shit on the internet. So to conclude, tutorials definitely won't teach you optimization or even game and level design, but that's not what they were intended to do. They will teach you how to code and approach a problem if they are consumed properly. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and yeah, thanks for watching.